Guys, welcome to another episode of The Ali Show, and today we have another very special guest, Genah Fabian, professional MMA fighter, former Muay Thai world champion. But anyway, Genah, before we start, how are you?
Well, thank you. Very good. On the other side of my fight on the weekend, so feeling good, feeling hydrated.
Yeah,
feeling
I like to talk about that fight as well. That's very cool.
Yeah,
That was your first professional boxing fight.
correct.
So sort of your boxing debut.
Yep.
We'll get into that in a bit. But anyway, Genah, before like we go on, probably a lot of people who are watching this already know who you are. But for those who don't, could you give us like a brief introduction about yourself?
Of course. So my name is Genah Fabian. I am mixed martial artist. With my base being Muay Thai. I fight professionally for City Kickboxing, signed under the PFL organization. I'm Samoan, German, Māori, European, Scottish. Originally,
That's like a good mix of a lot of
fruit salad.
Yeah.
And originally from West Auckland, Te Aratu. Later moved out to Greyland. So consider those two my home base, my hoods. And yeah, that's all I can think of.
Yeah, I mean, we could go a little bit into a few things, but yeah, which I will. But anyway, Genah, talking about being a professional MMA fighter, when did the whole thing start for you? When did you get into combat sports, and how did it come about?
Yeah, I originally started training in Muay Thai. Like I mentioned, that's my base. In the Mecca, in Thailand. Originally upon a holiday. Training holiday.
Was that in Bangkok, Phuket?
That was in Phuket, the south of Thailand, where all the beaches and the nice weather is.
Yeah. Classic holiday destination.
Yeah.
Why are you doing Muay Thai over there when you're supposed to be on a holiday?
That was a holiday. That was So I think that added to me. That all contributed to me probably falling in love with it. But yeah, that's how I started, and never had done combat training or any martial art growing up. My base and background up until that point was track, and then just developed from there.
How did you find that first, the first part of like learning Muay Thai and all that, getting hit? So you were an athlete, you were a high level athlete before that, but you were not getting hit, and it's a different thing. How was that? How did you adapt to that change?
It took me a long time. Being hit in the face isn't natural, and so it took me a while from when I started training. Initially, it was just pads and bag, and techniques and drilling, which I believe that's how you should start when you get into any kind of contact martial art or contact sport. And then it wasn't until probably my first year, or maybe even going into the second year, that I actually started sparring, where I picked up the courage to start sparring.
Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like and share this video.
And especially, being a lady, and usually, your face is very important. And now you're absorbing punches, elbows, knees, and kicks to the face.
Yeah, I've changed, man. I've changed for sure. Yeah, no, initially, like all those things, of course, you worry about those things, and it's the unknown as well. And you don't know how to react. You don't have composure. It's like anything that it also is trained. And you build up a conditioning to that as well. You've just got to go through all those uncomfortable phases and parts of the process. But now, yeah, it's just like there's not a day where I don't absorb some sort of punch to the face or body or kick or someone's head underneath my chin, wrestling, something like that. So now it's just,
Yeah,
now.
and especially the fact that you train at City Kickboxing Gym, which has a lot of other male fighters, right? And so most of the time when you're sparring with other, with males, and punches and kicks and all that are definitely a lot harder than what you'd expect.
Yeah, totally. And the pool of guys and men that I train with all know how to hit and all know how to find the button too. So not only are they big hitters, they're sharp and accurate, and it can keep you honest at any day of the week.
Would you say that is like to an advantage, when you train with such high level athletes in the gym, and you learn from them and all that, that when you actually go out to compete, you feel like, I'm comfortable here?
100%. Like it's not until because we are in the trenches with each other daily and working with each other daily. We're all our group are so solid and so consistent. They're professional, so we're in there 2 to 3 times a day, pretty much 6 days a week with each other. It's a lot of time together, and so we're all getting better at the same rate and all working and adding to our arsenals. But it's hard to know where you're at sometimes because, like I said, you're all elevating together. And so you all know you're familiar with what each other's trying to do and trying to get off on each other. So that can be hard to know where you really are in terms of your competitors and the outside world. And like you said, it's not until you go to fight that you realize, like, this works for me, or the things are working, or, that you understand that there really is levels to this, and that the work that you get inside the gym, more often than not, is the hardest work you're going to get. Not to say you won't have tough fights, and that's another experience on its own, but when you're putting yourself in positions where you're not the most dominant one, or someone who's technically or strength or power wise, or in some aspect, whether that be range or at a particular code, are better than you, then you're in the right place, where you have like multiple people who can test you in different ways.
Yeah, so talking about like going around and fighting, you've obviously traveled quite a bit. What are some of the places that you've traveled to, trained at, or competed at before?
Thailand being one of them, Malaysia, Burma. Never go back to that country again.
Was that Burma?
Burma, yeah.
It's a bit different. Like I was there once for
Yeah.
a job. It's definitely a little bit different.
Yeah.
But why would you say that it wouldn't be particularly interested in going back there? Must be some stories there.
Oh no, there's this guy I know called David Sanchai Ong. And he's from there, so once I met him, I vowed never to go back there again.
Okay, guys, for people who are watching, that's actually a joke, it's not real. If you guys know who Sanchai is, he's a good guy.
That's my brother. That's my brother. He's
that's all the inside gym jokes.
Yeah. Shout out to Sanchai.
Yeah. He's probably going to be laughing away when he watches this.
So I went all over around that Lao, or around that whole border, because we had to make frequent visa runs when we were living in when I was living in Thailand, and when I was based there for a few years. So all those bordering countries I went to the Philippines a lot. Like the Philippines, Singapore, and like spent time in all these places too. So that was really, each were really cool experiences, and got to experience all those different cultures around that like Southeast Asia region. So yeah, really cool.
How did you find like okay, so obviously like traveling around Asia and all that. So you go to Thailand and like, you know, from a space like Thailand to say Singapore, and then, you know, there's a big difference in these two places.
Yeah,
And
totally.
you know, in terms of like we talk about the price of like the living there, you know, was that a bit of a shock for you from like
Oh yeah, totally. Like yeah, the Singaporean dollar is like well, Singapore is, I think, per capita one of the most expensive cities in the
in the
world.
world? Yeah.
And so yeah, that was a shock on my on the baht what I was making at the time. If for
Yeah.
anyone that doesn't know, the baht is the Thai dollar.
I think it's
And,
one. What was it now? One New Zealand dollar. It's around 20-ish,
yeah,
25 baht. Is that
yeah,
correct? Yeah.
yeah. It's
I think so.
it's
Yeah.
even, yeah, it's close. Yeah, I think it's not far off. It's even weaker now. Back then it used to be 10 baht to the dollar.
Ooh.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but yeah, so it was always a shorter trip in Singapore in those days, because I was fighting in Thailand, and you don't make much, that's for sure. You cover your rent and maybe like, yeah, just your basic living expenses, and then you fight again to cover the next month. So it works.
That must have been, yeah, a little bit. Yeah, because you don't make as much, you know, but the living expenses in Thailand is slightly lower, you know,
Yeah.
compared to like other places. How did you find that, like, you know, that kind of fight to survive
Yeah,
kind of lifestyle?
yeah, well, I was just new to the sport at that point when I was based and decided to live over in Thailand, and that's why so many foreign and young fighters from this side of the world and all over, really, you know, the States, England, places like that, Russia, you know, base themselves over in Thailand. Because of that reason, they're able to train all of, you know, get all their needs in terms of training, and train full time, and grow as fighters, and get the dedication time that they need to apply to the sport, as well as be able to afford daily food and cheap rent and all those things. So at that point, that's all I cared about. I didn't care about money. I didn't care about making anything. I just wanted to put my head down and grind, and yeah, just apply all my energy and time into my training and growing as a fighter at that point. So I found that really beneficial, and I loved it at the time. Then when I found, after a few years, I realized like I needed to take another step toward actually getting bigger fights, bigger opportunities, and started to make, you know, I needed a different look in terms of training, and I needed to grow in that area. That's when I started to look abroad, and also come home to New Zealand. Yeah.
Because from what I understand and what I know as well, before you made that move to Thailand, you were working in a relatively good job. You had good money. You earned a decent living.
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't say decent, a little bit slightly above average.
Yeah.
Right. How did you? Was it hard to adapt to this new income?
Yeah, it was actually. At the time, I was young, and like you said, I was making quite good money to support myself in a pretty affluent area of Sydney, because I'd moved from Auckland to Sydney at that time, and we're living on the eastern suburbs, Coogee, Randwick area, and yeah, so that was like a really fun place to be for, you know, a teenager coming into her 20s. So it was like, I was used to a certain
lifestyle
and standard of living, and you're young and you're out, spending and just living
spending
a pretty
money,
pretentious,
partying, all the
partying,
nice dinners.
and living a pretty pretentious lifestyle, which you don't realize at the time. It's just kind of what you're surrounded by. So
and when you're young, you kind of want to fit in,
Yeah.
and like blend in with everybody else.
Yeah.
I know what you mean.
totally. And so then when I become a fighter over in Asia, it took me a while to get accustomed to not having those like
Luxuries.
luxuries, and even little things, just like things like I like to do, like upkeep, like nails and my hair and things like that, just all those girly things I couldn't do anymore. And I wasn't living that kind of lifestyle where I was working corporate, going out on the weekends, out in Sydney. And so I didn't, it was just like, oh, I can't do this anymore. I can't do it at will like I used to. So it was a big learning curve, and it was for the better. Like, it taught me, not to be so pretentious and what's the word, like, not to indulge in unnecessary things, really, because it's unnecessary shit.
Well, I mean, some girls would argue, but
no, like, don't get me wrong, it is self-care and making yourself feel good, and dressing up and looking beautiful and things like that. Those are all very lovely and nice things and necessary things to do as a woman, for sure. But sometimes I think at that point what I meant was I was probably more concerned with that side of things when it wasn't always necessary to upkeep things like that.
So when you were in Thailand, which of the gyms were you training out at? Tiger Muay Thai?
Originally Tiger Muay Thai for I think over a year, 2 years, and then I went to quite a traditional like Muay Thai only gym, Lion Muay Thai. Was there? It was in Rawai Beach. That was such a cool gym and like experience, and like the part of Phuket it was like next to this elephant sanctuary and stuff. Ooh. So that's how I woke up every morning, like going to see the elephants and riding past the elephants. And it was a sanctuary that was actually like deemed it was actually a good one because they've got a lot of like
this the one that they were saying. Is it the difference between like places where they have the elephant rides and you sit on the elephants on that metal kind of seats, that one hurts the elephants, right?
And they just treat them like they don't give them what they need, to be free and happy.
I've seen some of the documentaries and it's nasty, man, how they get treated. And they have that stick with a spike on the end where they'll poke the elephant to get them to do shit. The ones where they I can't remember what's the name of, I think it's on Vice if I'm not wrong. The ones where they force the elephant to do shit like for that circus show thing. Make them stand on the stool and dance and like.
It's terrible. Those guys should be shot, and it's all just to make money off them. And they keep them basically in prison. That stuff broke my heart over there. And so like when I said, I'd ride past every morning this elephant sanctuary, and it was so cool. I'd go in and feed them and take them food, and I knew like what foods they liked, and so I'd just stand over the fence. But that was actually a good one where they actually let them kind of live in a natural habitat, like at big lakes and a massive forest for them to.
Was it private land or?
I think yes, that one was in particular. So that was so cool. That was just like such an experience, and I used to like have to pinch myself sometimes, or like where I was at in my surroundings, because coming from Central Auckland,
bit of a different
bit of a different scene. And so that I was there, and then I later went to I got approached to join AKA Thailand. At the time, they were just opening up, and one of the people that were working for them and at the time approached me, knew where I was at, and said, "Hey, we're opening this mega gym. Do you want to come be a part of our team?" And so that's how I was there.
During this time that you were in Thailand, because a few of the boys at City Kickboxing or like Kai, John, Israel, Dan, they've all been to Thailand to train as well.
Yeah.
Did you train? Did they come to those gyms when you were there during that period?
Yeah. Brad was based.
Yeah, Brad as well was Tiger Muay Thai. Yeah.
He was at Tiger Muay Thai. He was at Lion Muay Thai originally, the one that I just talked about, and then when he was at purely kickboxing at that time, and he later then moved to Tiger Muay Thai. Kai came over to Tiger Muay Thai initially on the Tiger Muay Thai tryouts, and then that's how he moved over and was based in Thailand for his stint there as well. Dan came through to train, and then he was based there for a period under Tiger Muay Thai. Izzy would come over and train, and huge, and they built a good relationship with the guys at Tiger there, and to what it is today, with the Hickman brothers. And they loved all the Kiwi boys when they'd come over. And loved their vibe, and obviously, loved what they had to offer and bring in terms
sort of a different vibe as well from the usual.
Yeah.
Because that the groups of people that will come to Thailand and train, and it's very different.
We're unique, man. Like, and that's what I didn't realize. You don't know what you don't know. We're just used to each other, and we all grow up with each other, and get each other's lingo and jokes and cultures and whatnot. But over there, people think we're just so cool. It's so funny. It's so funny, and they think we're so like out the gate, and I guess we are different and unique in our humor and our melting pot of cultures and how we kind of are as Kiwis. So it's cool. It was funny. Everyone loved us.
Hey you, don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.
When did you make that move to not to Australia, to the US?
That was after I came home for a stint, and then I was back home training at City Kickboxing. And then I was going back to Thailand to actually collect a few belongings there. I had a place there, and so I was doing a trip to kind of round everything up and bring some more stuff back home. And literally while I was back in Thailand doing that, I got a offer to go train out in California. And so that's from there. First person I called was huge, and he pretty much told me to take that opportunity and explore that, and gave me his blessing to do it, because I wasn't going to. I just didn't know how I was going to, live there and cover my expenses and all these, and living costs and things like that.
Definitely a big jump compared to.
Yeah. And it was in the Bay Area, which is like one of the most expensive, cities in the world as well, per capita, just outside, or San Francisco, just outside. So anyway, I just didn't know how I was going to do it. And the gym was offering me to be over there and live with one of the owners of the gym and things like that. And so Huge just told me to go do it.
That was the so for people who don't know, that was for when you were offered to fight on PFL.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Yeah.
But that didn't come till after. That wasn't anything to do with
PFL yet?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was already living and training in California when I got approached by the PFL. Yeah.
And so how did that come about? When you got that news, offered to be fighting on PFL, how did you take that all in? What was your reaction?
Yeah, Ray Seffel just messaged me on Instagram, and then he gave me a call. Like he'd followed me, and like obviously I knew who he was, but like we all come from the same lineage really back here, and so he was aware of who I was and what I was doing and who I trained under, and he knew that I had been based in the States at that point for a couple of years, and then he just gave me a call.
And so yeah, talking about PFL MMA now. So you were on their first season, that was in 2019.
Yeah, their first season, like of having the female lightweight division.
And you had 2 fights on that one, 1 win and 1 loss. And how was that whole experience for you for that season?
It was all in all like a really pleasurable like experience, and in terms of the promotion and the people and dealing with a promotion and a production of that kind of magnitude, getting to fight on ESPN, getting to travel all over the States, the East Coast, New York, Vegas, and places like that was so cool. I really enjoyed it. And yeah, like I said, the production and the staff and how it ran and how they looked after us was a really cool experience. I'd never been obviously like signed to a promotion that big prior, so yeah, it was cool.
Was it would you say it was hard to kind of adapt to that, or in the beginning?
Yeah, not hard, just like unsure what to expect, and like probably if anything maybe a bit not sure how it would all play out and how I would perceive it, and how I would handle it. It was like new territory in terms of like everything that it came with. That like they'd send productions out to our gym and run like documentary, like mini kind of documentaries and lead up to my fights, and
the cool feature films and the embedded, leading up to the
and I was just like, damn, I made it. Like when they came there, it was like that feeling. It was like
that's
crazy.
really cool. Yeah,
it was really cool. And they were so professional in those types of dealings, and like I said, it was my first time experiencing like that sort of stuff. And all the media, and they'd have like some really big name photographers that even I knew of, that had been shot real iconic shots in the UFC and things like that, like famous photos, like I said, that are like iconic, pictures and like fighting history and stuff. And then they were out there like shooting me, and I was just like trying to act cool and like composed, like it was like
in the beginning it must have been a bit like weird and but when you get used to it,
I just had to I don't know, it's not like I got used to it. It was just like I just had to calm myself down and not overthink things and not do too much, and just be me and let it come naturally, and just try to handle myself in those situations. And it's a lot of it, obviously, like I said, was new to me, and first time experiences, some of those things. But I just had to chill out for a minute.
Do you think that sometimes for like fighters coming up in the industry who might not have good advice, it might lead them astray when they suddenly get brought into the being under the lights and under the camera, bit of being people watching your every move sort of thing?
I think with fighters, man, or athletes, like it doesn't matter if it's fighting or another professional sport, but talking about fighting though, we're definitely not taught or like have a blueprint or managed how to handle those types of situations. And as you like advance and as you start to do well and come up, and then these things get presented to you in terms of more media, more exposure, and things like that, we're not taught how to handle ourselves. And so we're really raw and we're really good at what we do, and we're really, young and hungry and coming up. And sometimes I find that, we just don't have a lot of guidance when it comes to that other side. So a lot of it is off the cuff, just trying to figure it out for ourselves. And sometimes, I guess, depending on who you are, you're either a natural and you take it and run with it, or you can go the other way and kind of lose control a bit. I guess that's where you see that side of it.
Who are the people that you kind of look at or you look to and sort of follow a rough kind of direction that they've taken?
Yeah, it's a good idea. I take bits of things from everyone, to be honest, and apply it to like myself, or I'll see how someone handles a certain situation, or maybe a certain like a common thing that's thrown at them, and if I like it, or if I find it resonates with me, I'll run with that. But at the end of the day, I always ask myself, does it fit with me? Is that really me? And, I'll sit with that and figure it out. But in terms of people, man, like I really do take bits of everything from everyone. I look up to I look up to a lot of different people for different reasons. It's now you put me on the spot. It's hard to name, but I really do. I'll come back to that, because I know there are definitely people who I admire from afar, or I like how they handle themselves in that situation. And it either teaches me something or it resonates with me. So, it's just energy. We draw off everyone's energy.
So talking about the 2 fights that you had on the that series. Okay, sorry. Before I get into that, so PFL MMA actually runs on like a slightly different system, or the way how they do it. For those who don't know how it is, could you just give us a explanation of how the the season works?
Yeah. So like you said, they're based it off a season that runs from April, May. This year it's in 2021, it's May, through to New Year's Eve is the last fight. And they're based it off the American Football League, the NFL model. So they have your regular season playoff fights, and if you make it through that with the highest points, you then advance to the quarterfinals. You win that, you qualify, and you go through to the semifinals, finals. So it's a really cool and unique format compared to other promotions such as UFC, Bellator, Invicta, ONE FC, things like that.
Instead of the usual win or lose, and then next and next.
Yeah, and then make up some rankings, and then put this person together, and if this person speaks and talks a big game, then you'll advance and jump ahead of you
get a little bit of advantages.
That's kind of messed up how they do that, but so it's based on merit, and that's what I really like about it. And you get rewarded if you win well, if you stop it early, knockout, submission, then you earn bonus points that can put you further ahead in the competition. And it's cool. You can follow your fighter, or pick up on someone maybe that you didn't know of, or that stands out throughout the season, and follow their journey all the way through. So I think that's really cool, unique thing about the PFL.
So the 2 fights that you had on the 2019 season, what did you learn, or what did you take away from those 2 fights?
I learned that I learned how to manage myself better in terms of my performance, my recovery, my diet, my everything. I got a first-hand experience and taste of what it requires of me and how to manage that better. A lot of lessons in there. It was the first time I went from like not fighting in I think a year prior to that, maybe even more, it was like 15 months, to all of a sudden being in this tournament. And so it was an amazing opportunity that I was not going to pass up and not going to say no to, but it was like a lot in hindsight, like that I had to adapt to all at once. So that was probably the biggest lessons learned. And learn how to be more comfortable in the spotlight, and like we mentioned before and talked about, like all the obligations and everything that it comes with, all the promotion, things like that. Prior to that, I was fighting on local shows. I was fighting, I'd fought for a world title in Muay Thai, but it was still considered a local promotion in the States, and just not of that magnitude that the PFL were bringing, So just learned to get more comfortable in front of cameras.
That's awesome. So after that season, the one in 2019, was when you came back and then just settled down back in Auckland.
Yeah.
And carried on training back at City Kickboxing. Let's talk about City Kickboxing. How is it? Why is like City Kickboxing special to you, or why did you choose City Kickboxing to train it?
Yeah, well, Eugene is my cousin, so but aside from that, like, just it's the leaders that we have and the family environment that they've created through hard work and doing things right and being good stand-up people. It's just they wouldn't have lasted in this game or been able to achieve what they have to date without being who they are, talking about Doug and Eugene. And then obviously the other coaches and leaders that they've brought on, throughout the time. Andre, Twist, Mike Angrove, Adam Johnson, who else? Steve, the figureheads of that gym that help make that place tick over. And they've just bred a really solid stable of people, and it's translated into their professional fighters and then into the members, and just overall the vibe and the environment that City Kickboxing is today.
So talking about like the training back at City Kickboxing, so in the recent times you have been training a lot with the boxing team, and then also which led to your first professional boxing event, which was last weekend. Tell us about that fight, and maybe you can fill us in on the details of that.
Yeah, man. So 2020, crazy year. COVID-19 breaks out. Everything gets put on hold. The country gets shut down. And Doug, and so Izzy, Shane, and Kai, I believe, were training for the UFC event. I think it was in Las Vegas at the time. Yeah, man, so much has happened since then. I can't remember exactly which card that was. But anyway, they were like in the tail end of camp. And then, we go into that first lockdown, which that was like the 2-month one, right?
Yeah, I think the first one was like a 4-week. The first one was a 4-week level 4.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it was and then like we went into like a 2-week. So like all up was like 6 weeks or something.
Yeah.
Before we could,
that's a long time,
it was a long ass time, and it was before we could all like come back together or see people again, and that's when like things were really unknown, in terms of the process of like how things would run and stuff. So anyway, the boys I remember were in that like vital part stage of the camp, And so when it got announced, Eugene obviously called a camp within the gym of the main training partners and the boys, and they had to find a way to continue. So that's what he did, which I thought was like really genius of him to orchestrate and come up with, basically overnight. At the time,
it had to be done, right?
Yeah, it had to be.
Yeah,
like there would have been no other way to do it. And so then when Doug called his own with his boxing boys up at his place in Mangawhai, I was up that way, and I asked him if I could join, and he's like, yeah, cool, come, yeah, sure, just, come and train. And then I know what to expect. It turned out to be like full on camp. And I think at that stage, no, Junior wasn't training for Joseph then, eh?
Not yet.
No, not yet. Yeah, not yet. Anyway, but like I think they all a few of the boxing team had upcoming fights, and so just held a mini camp, and we were out there for like, I forget how long exactly, but it was a long time, like a month or something, maybe a little bit less, but and man, we all just like wrote it out and stuck it out, and that's when and I went there, and he was like, well, if you're gonna do this, you're gonna only box. You're gonna join us. You're only gonna box. And I was like, I don't just box. And I was like, in my head, I was like, oh my God. And the first,
it's different. Yeah.
Oh, it's different. All right. And like, his crew are little killers, little snipers. And so like, man, that first sparring that I had out there, we did it on Dougie's deck, just like out in the sun, wearing our shoes. Like, it was like old school, just like one would go in and would just rotate in on the person staying in and just do our rounds. And man, I remember just getting my head snapped back, like,
especially when you talk about
every round
with boys like Hemi Ahio, you talk about Panube Helu, and like these boys are, that jab is not a jab. It's like a right it's like a right hand, it's like a power. There's no jab. I don't think it's a jab.
The jabs aren't jabs as we know them.
Yeah, they're not jabs, man.
It's like, oh man, it's like a normal person's, like you said, right hand. And you just, when you think you've got time to breathe, boom, like your head snaps back. So man, they didn't like let off on me, So that was a real like humbling session and time up there, because man, I was just like, I felt like the weakest link, and I was just like, what am I doing here? Like, I can't hang like boxing with these guys. And you got people like Ra, Duke, and all these guys who are Saeed, like they're all just so slick and bring their own style and such technicians as well. And getting into work with all of them definitely like tested me and my mental fortitude and my resilience. But man, did that ever like spark something in me that to this point now that I'm forever grateful for that time. They
say cool. Well, isn't that what they say? Pressure makes diamonds.
And like I said, like it just tested me in every way, and tested me, with patience, with ego. Not that I have like this bravado ego or anything, but it does test your ego. It's it's frustrating, and humbling. Like I said, when you've got people just out timing you, constantly, and I just brings so much.
It kind of pushes you to up your game as well.
Totally. And so that became the motivating factor. I was like, well, shit, if I can't beat them right now, I've got to join them. Like, and that was where my mindset like flipped over, and I was like adamant I was going to stick to this and ride this out. And so, that's where the like competitor and like fighter in me started to come out again. And And yeah, I just developed this love for it, because I felt like I was getting schooled so bad and I sucked so bad that, like, man, like, it taught me, like, I need to work on some things, man, like basic ass things that I didn't realize I was this bad at, or like that they're so good at these certain aspects of the game, that like it taught me where I need to be at and where I need to work on and level up on. So yeah, that was like what inspired it.
Yeah, because you have a lot of people who talk about this as well, like for example, some of the guys like maybe Teddy Atlas, for example, they talk about a lot of these things about how when MMA fighters go into boxing, or boxers get into MMA, kickboxers, like, and so on and so forth. It's just like the very limited tools that you have, compared to an MMA fight. Like for MMA, you can kick, you can grapple, you can do jiu-jitsu, wrestling, and everything. And then when you come to boxing, it's very limited. A little bit of grappling, a little bit of like, sort of wrestling, but you'll get separated, and then it's just basically your hands. You can't kick, knee, elbow, like. So it was
all those tools were taken away from me, yeah. And so it was like, all you've got is your hands and your footwork that you don't have. It taught me, and it was like, so yeah, that was very eye-opening to me, like in terms of where, like, what I need to improve on. And so I was like, man, I need to get these I need more time here. I need more time here. This can't just end.
So after this whole period from like last year, after the pandemic, focusing on your boxing, upskilling, just, fighting with your hands, a lot of footwork, handwork, and then which led to your professional boxing debut last weekend. How did that fight go?
This weekend.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, that's
2 days ago.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
But when the video comes out, that'll be last weekend. Yeah. How did the fight go, Genah?
Yeah, man, I was just really stoked to get back in there again, because it's been like 14 months or so.
Yeah, that would have been the first fight after 14 months.
Yeah, my first fight in 14 months. And the bigger picture was, the reason we took this boxing fight was, to lead up to the PFL season. I didn't want to, and I keep stressing this to Doug and Huge, like last year, I was like, give me a fight, give me a fight, give me a fight. Please give me a fight, please give me a fight. Because I didn't want to go into this PFL season and that be my first fight back. I wanted to feel the feels. As extreme as this might sound to some, I wanted to feel someone coming to take my head off, and I wanted to feel that and feel myself react to that, and feel that pressure and handle it. Like, so that was the main goal and reason to take this boxing fight. And initially it was supposed to be on the Junior Fa and Joseph Parker card. And so I was training really hard and lead up to that date, which was February 27th. 2 weeks prior, it got pulled. So I got stopped in my tracks. I was cutting weight. I was long camp training.
Was there a reason, or what was the reason given for the fight being cancelled?
Yeah, unaware still at this point, but it was Duco that pulled it. They, I think, just budget wise. So I heard they pulled a few fights from the card, and unfortunately mine was one of them, with my opponent, Marian Nicholson, is who I fought. And yeah, it then got pushed back to a month later on the CTP show, Craig Thompson show, just on Friday night. And Yeah, if it happened on that junior Joseph Carter, timing wise, that was gonna work out real perfect for me because we'd already been in camp, been training really hard with Doug and the boxing team, and so it was just gonna all work out, and then I could have that fight, and sink my teeth into my MMA camp and lead up for my first fight in the PFL. But that didn't happen, like I said, and it got pushed back. Then I had to make a decision whether or not I would do it because it would bite into my MMA camp for this first fight in the PFL. And I talked to Huge, I talked to Doug, I talked to Huge, and I was like, what do you think? And yeah, they basically just said, we weighed it up, like, okay, if you do it, if you don't do it, all right, oh well, kiss it goodbye, and just focus on this first MMA camp and fight solely. If you do it, you get to get in, but you're going to have to train for both. And so double the workload, 2 different codes, completely different codes, like 2 different systems that it requires, boxing and MMA, and all that. And I just said, I thought about it for a night, and yeah, I just came back the next day to you and said I'm gonna do it because I need to. The bigger picture is more important, and I'll take on this extra workload. I'll handle it, and yeah, and we'll go for it. And I'll have to just have it pushed out and have less time in between this fight and my PFL fight, which is in 6 weeks. But yeah, people have taken closer fights prior, and you forget about that because as we get to this point, we tend to have like long drawn out camps, and it's a while in between fights, and so we get used to that.
Having that 3 fight 4 fight a year format.
Yeah.
6 to 8 week training camp.
Yeah, and sometimes not even that. Sometimes we don't even get to fight 3-4 times a year. That's a good year for a lot of people. But so yeah, I just thought about it. I was just like, nah, this is going to be worth getting in and taking this on for the bigger picture. And then, yeah, man, there were some days, man, where I was questioning the decision I made because it was tough. Training with Doug is tough. And the boxers, you train with us. And it's not like I can, like, kind of give half of my effort and self in those sessions. You've got to give 100%. Otherwise, it's going to be a rough session for you, and then same in the MMA. You've got to be like mentally switched on, depending on what session it is. It's the most taxing and physical thing you could put your body through. And you've got, a bunch of men ready to maul you and wrestle you to the ground if, most sessions. So yeah, it was just like, it tested me. Like, it was all good. It was just some days were rough, and that's just how it is. But man, having that fight on Friday confirmed to me it was all worth it. And I loved it in there. I felt good. I felt real good. And this girl was like, Commonwealth and Olympic team member, New Zealand national champion 2021. She just won the nationals a few months ago. So she was like a good caliber opponent, a good first test for me. And yeah, I felt like I did really well. Unfortunately, there was a doctor's stoppage after the 3rd round. And yeah, they said there was a head clash, but looking back on the video, she came forward into me, and her head actually hit my shoulder as she was coming forward, and we clinched up. And I think, like you mentioned before, like from my jab, my cross,
tenderized that area.
I think I tenderized her area, and because like her nose was bleeding prior to that and stuff, so I was landing like quite quite clean on her face, and
You must have. This must be from you picking up those really strong power jabs from the boys.
yeah, man, Farah, I have to have something to like show for like all the hidings I've been getting and inspiring from those boys for sure. Like those are definitely like things that tools that I've sharpened and starting to really apply in my game now. I love it. It's so cool that I felt the progress and learning from that team. I'm really grateful for that team. And of course,
Did you feel you got to execute a lot of your plan for that fight?
Yeah, and it was only just starting to come out more. Like I was getting better each round.
You're getting sharper,
and just finding my range, finding my timing, picking her timing.
Because you had I think you had a big height and length advantage.
Yeah, I was much longer. And
a reach advantage. Sorry.
Yeah, I was. And so I was really finding that, and then like in that third round, I was second and third, but that third it was like a lot more frequent. Like I was finding my 2 at the end of my punch, so I was timing my cross, starting to do really well in that, and then. Yeah, like she put her face into my shoulder and then the doctor stopped it.
Unfortunately.
It wasn't a head clash, right?
Unfortunately, it does happen. But I've actually seen the photos that she put up as well. I think, someone was asking me about who you were fighting. So I just sent the link and then I went and I saw the photo that she posted up of her eye. It was like huge.
Yeah.
And it's crazy,
it looks terrible.
It does. Like it looks like a bad cut. But we've and that's the thing, we've seen it before a lot in boxing as well from people who absorb a lot of, not even just like power, the power hand, but just jabs as well. I think one of the fight that recently we watched was one of the Maloney brothers who fought and who had the fight stop. It was crazy. They said it was a head clash, and then they spent like I think it was in recent times. It was the first incident that happened. They spent like close to 30 minutes reviewing the whole footage, and you could see that it wasn't a head clash, and then they like it. Maybe it would have come close, but it wasn't really a head clash that caused it.
Yeah.
Because the other guy, I can't remember. He might have been Andrew Maloney or just I think Andrew Maloney. Yeah. So he was jabbing the other guy's. I think it's a Mexican guy's eye. His eye heaps.
Yeah.
And he was just taking a lot. And like we said, it's just getting tenderized, man. And we would never really be able to know unless we like have the footage and we review it. You look really closely, but man, it's crazy. And he was saying like, it wasn't a head clash and it got stopped, ruled a head clash. It's quite sad. It was actually, I think, a world title fight.
Much on the line, and then it can just be taken away from people. Crazy, just like that.
Right? Just like, and because it happened under, I want to say maybe under 4 rounds.
Yeah.
So if it gets ruled a no contest, the belt holder gets to retain his titles. Yeah. Pretty unfortunate.
Totally unfortunate.
Yeah.
All that goes into that, and then that's the result. Stink. It stink. And not that mine was, of any kind of, worth, that kind of caliber, but still, man, like a long ass camp that, and a lot of hard work. I've said this before. We train 2 to 3 times a day, 6 days a week. We're funding all of this, all the expenses in camp. And also my opponent, working so hard to get that kind of result. She did come off a bit more worse off, having to deal with an injury now. But like that, and like this is, it's not even the fact that it was a free fight. I didn't get paid for it because I agreed to that. I cut 5 kgs the day before. And I agreed to that because we agreed to the weight.
What was the agreed weight to fight it?
72.5, between 71.5 and 72.5, and I weighed in at 72. And you
Talking
know,
about just to talk about like the weight cut. You know, so you hear a lot of talk about professional fighters talking about weight cuts and all that, and it's not an easy task.
never an easy or pleasurable experience, but that's just what we sign up for. That's just part of the game, especially if you're in a restricted weight class. And for me to be in a mainstream organization, to fight on a world stage, I have to fight at a 70 kg weight, and so that's just part of what I have
There
to
aren't
do.
as many. Well, the weight classes for PFL. That's the only weight class available.
Yeah, they wanted to be again like just like the format we spoke about before. They wanted to be more unique and expand the growth of women's MMA and have something unique to the other big organizations, UFC, Bellator. And it's pretty dope when I think about it to be a part of something that's going to be history. It is history, and it is helping the expansion and growth of like women's MMA, and I get to figurehead that. And so I'm really really proud to be a part of that, because that is going to grow more women's divisions in this sport, and we have to, because we have to play catch up to the men. And so if either way, whether it's higher or lower, I think there's only one more weight in the lower weight divisions, that atom weight, that is only restricted to a few of the promotions. But man, like, to have weight classes go all the way through, and to make more weight classes just like they have in boxing and kickboxing as well, is something that I want to see grow in this sport and eventually happen.
Yeah, that'd be cool. But anyway, yes, to your opponent who unfortunately had the head clash and all that. I'm sure you want to wish her, or I want to wish her a speedy recovery as well, and respect to her for stepping up. Although she
100%.
has achieved a lot in boxing, and to have taken the fight with you, considering your experience and where you fought on and the level you are at, it's not an easy task. So
Yeah.
well, we wish her a speedy recovery.
Yeah, and the disclaimer, like, no disrespect to my opponent.
Of course,
I respect every female wahine toa that
of course,
works their butt off to get into that ring, and everything that's involved prior to. It wasn't her fault that the fight ended the way it did or got stopped early, but she definitely had New Zealand boxing officials on her side that night. And the fact that for me, like I said, just touching back on before, it wasn't the fact that it was a non-paid fight, because the goal was not that, wasn't the all the work and the week and the camp that happens anyway and lead up for a fight. I had nothing to show for my coaches for their time and effort and even gas money for them to be able to come out and corner me that night. It's just, and yeah, I just wish we had, though the official result wasn't there, I just wish, that it turned out different, but it's only sparked, like, I've gained so much more from that experience. Like, I really love boxing now, and only now starting to really understand the basic science of it through my coaches and through the team that I've worked with, and through all my hard work throughout this time. And man, I've got like big goals there too, and I would love to take on more girls from around New Zealand when I get time next year.
Hopefully that works out well for you.
Yeah.
So yeah, now that boxing fight's out of the way, you're focusing on your MMA camp now, leading up to your first fight on May the 6th.
May 6th.
Yeah, is that correct? May 6th.
Yeah.
And that'll be in the start of the PFL season.
Yep.
And you'll be in the US. So, you are fighting against a lady by the name of Sanchez.
Yeah, Laura Sanchez.
Laura Sanchez, yes.
Is her name. And she comes from a great camp, good coach, Duke Rufus. Where are they based? I forget, Illinois or something like that. Anyway, that's like Benson Henderson camp and stuff. So like, they're a well-known camp and base. And yeah, she's tall like me. She's very similar, like in frame, like very athletic and long rangy fighter, likes to stand, likes to strike and land her too, and she all over kind of kickboxing striking style. Yeah, so that's who I'm coming up against in my first fight, and if I could have picked it, I would have picked her. I think it'll be a great stylistic matchup for me.
That'd be cool. That'd be interesting. We will be definitely looking forward to that. So talking about that, with this whole thing happening, you'll be making the move to the US soon.
Yeah.
Moving there, training there, and all that. And
COVID land.
Yes, they don't have as much restrictions like compared to what it is over here.
Not at all. They're allowed to run rampant over there.
It's a little bit different. So what are your thoughts about that? Heading over there, training and living over there.
Initially, when I spoke to Ray and he outlined how it was going to work and what we would have to do to make this all work this year.
Are we talking about Mr. Ray Seffel?
Yes, Ray Seffel. And he told me like, just how like the amount of time and what it will require for me to have the first 2 fights. I almost came off the phone like in tears with tears in my eyes because I was like, I don't want to go back there. Not for that long, you know? And I was like, what am I going to do? And I'm going to have to be stuck over there and by myself. And my brain went into a little tiz. And it was huge. It was like, calm down. We'll figure it out. It's going to be okay. All right. And then, now we obviously been dealing with and sorting out the logistics and it's all working out, and we've got a great plan for that and going forward, I'll be based over there for in total 3 months or just under.
That is a relatively long period, but
that's a long 3 months, but you know what, then I think about it,
it goes by real fast.
It goes by real quick, and then next thing you know, we're in quarantine in New Zealand again. So, so just under 3 months, and then 2 weeks of that is in isolation. Quarantine New Zealand.
And so talking about heading over there, you have Cameron Ralston, who will be heading there with you.
Cam Dam.
Cam Van Dam. So he'll be sort of your training partner / coach. / everything. He's gonna help you, I guess, with your diet, with your schedule, your routines, and everything. So, how do you find that? Like, tell us, what do you think about that?
Yeah, no, really fortunate that Cam was willing and able to join me for this. We spoke about it and he put his hand up and we had a few chats and went back and forth and obviously put it to Huge and things like that. And it worked out. It worked out timing wise for him as well, of course. He'll be my right hand man, so to speak, over there. I've also got Selby. I really wanted him to be there as well for the entire time. If I could have had Selby and Cam there, but Selby's got commitments here, so I'm really fortunate to be able to get him as well for the first fight. Then he will come back to New Zealand straight after that. But yeah, Cam is an amazing teammate. He helps so many of us willingly. Never asked for nothing. Just a solid person. So I'm really grateful that I'll have him there. So yeah, he'll be my main training partner, and it's great because he's so well versed all over, and he'll be a great asset to me over there with all that. My diet, the fight dietitian Geordie, he handles and works. Shout out to Geordie. The clutch. One of my main men.
Hey, you. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video.
So Geordie has helped me and come on board, especially the last, I think, maybe 2 months, just over, in helping me get down and get prepared for this. And then also handled my fight week and weight cut for my boxing fight a few days ago. So he's the man. And I lost a lot of weight with Doug, and we got that initial fat and puppy fat off with Doug and the Doug diet, and so we were all together like since last year, lost 21 kgs.
Wow.
Yeah. So I was a fat girl. And
I wouldn't say that, but
thick. Yeah. No, and so we managed to get it down. A lot of throughout this time, hard work, and Doug keeping me accountable, keeping me honest, and putting the fear of God into me some days, kept me on, and we were able to maintain and keep my body down at a really healthy, good walk around weight. And then Geordie came on, like I said, 2-3 months ago now, and just refined that, and started to create a plan to fuel me for performance. And I feel great, being on Geordie's protocol, and he's the man. Like, his stuff works, man. If you follow the plan and trust the process and follow it to a T, his fight week protocols and my water loading process was just worry free because of him, and it was just a matter of just following it and doing what needed to be done. So shout out to Geordie.
So when you guys be heading over to the US, or you, Cam, and Selby, and you guys will be training out of XC MMA, which is Ray Seffer's gym.
Yes.
So how do you find that training over there and with a new team, new faces?
Yeah, that's gonna be cool. I have been to Extreme before. Funnily enough, I've been there with Junior and Hemi and Doug. They were fighting a couple of years ago in Utah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we were in Vegas watching Siggy when he was part of the PFL season in 2019. So that's where I was with them, and then a couple of days we were training in Vegas, and we went to Extreme there. And then
how did you find it there?
Yeah, cool little facility. It's like one of the OG Vegas gyms, like Randy Couture's gym. It's got a lot of history, a lot of champions, and some of those old school, like legendary fighters in MMA have come from there. So it was really cool, man. Like, I was like looking around, like, whoa, like the caliber of people and like MMA legends that have come through there and trained there. Obviously, a lot of current UFC, Bellator fighters and stars. So that's real cool. But I know when I train, and when I'm in that mode, when I'm in camp, I just don't really care who's around, and as long as I get the work. And
are there many female fighters over there as well?
Yeah, they've got a fair few, as far as I know. A couple of UFC girls. But I think they're like smaller girls. They've got quite a big female fight team, like a lot of range. So yeah, that I'll see more and no doubt get to work with more when and know more when I get over there. But yeah, a lot of guys. I know a few guys from my time in California that train there and stuff, and that would cross train between the gym I was at in California. So it's cool. I've got like a couple of contacts there that I'll reunite with once we get over there to train. Ray's amazing. Like he opened up his place, his gym in his time, and if we need him for anything, to hold pads or help us settle, he's been really accommodating like that. So yeah, we'll be based there, training predominantly out of there, and lead up for fight 2, which will be July 25th. June 25th. Sorry.
June 25th,
yeah, my months are...
And who is that? The second fight against? Because the second fight's not up on the page yet.
Oh,
I think.
yeah, shit. Maybe
we
said
shouldn't.
it too fast. Said it too soon.
Oh,
but that's okay.
I think maybe the date is there, but do you know the? Are you not allowed to say the opponent yet, or
no? You don't find out until fight 1's finished.
Okay,
so they'll match it after
the first fight.
Yeah, after
so there's
No, it is out.
How many ladies
it
are
is
there in this
out.
one?
June 25th. It is a confirmed date. Yeah, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So all up there are 10. Yeah, 10 ladies in my...
Who are you looking to? Some of the people who you'd like to match up with or compete against. Some of the names.
All of them, because that's what this tournament is for. Like honestly, like whoever I get matched up with for the second one. Oh yeah, no, there is a girl who she was a late signee. Her name is Caitlin. She's like an Invicta veteran, and she's been around for I think she fought in Strikeforce and stuff. We were supposed to fight in Muay Thai actually.
Oh, okay.
A few years ago when I was based in the States, and for whatever reason that didn't happen. I forget her last name. It's gonna do my head in. Anyway, she's part of the roster. So that'll be cool. Like just because that was a name that I was supposed to fight a couple of times, a few years ago. I'd like to come up against her, but like I said, all of them, because that's what this tournament is for. I'm gonna come up against, all of them at some point. So, whatever presents itself for fight 2. I'll prepare accordingly and I'll be ready.
You guys will have, I'm pretty sure you'll have a good game plan for that.
Totally.
The recent one I was listening to was Claressa Shields, who just recently signed with PFL and going to be fighting. She's not going to be fighting on this season, am I correct? Or
yeah, I don't think so. I think they've just got her signed up to take one-offs initially. But yeah, I'd love to fight her. Should be. Yeah, it's such a cool fight for me. I'd love to fight her.
Why does it interest you to fight her?
Because I just would love to execute a certain game plan on her, and I feel like I could do that.
Yeah.
on her. And that's not to take away the danger and threat that she brings. She's got amazing hands and she's a powerful striker, puncher, and so, well aware of that, and so would have to, execute what I would do and what I'd like to do to her to a T, to not get caught by her either. But also I throw good hands too, and I'm also strong and big. So it's like with MMA and 4-ounce gloves, it's just
it's a different test. It's a different game.
Yeah, totally. And it's not always the best technician or striker that can win. There's so many elements involved. It's a different kind of range. You've got to have a different kind of awareness and ring smarts and control that you've got to have in there. So all those things play a factor.
That would be pretty
Not
cool.
just the extremities of hard punches and that's ignorant thinking.
Oh, well, we're definitely looking forward to that one. That'll be a fight that we definitely put our money for that. Anyway, Genah, we've come to the section now. Wise words from the wise lady. People watching, listening. What sort of advice would you be giving them?
What have other people said?
Man, heaps. We've had 33.
Give me some inspiration.
Oh man, so many.
To pass on some wise words.
I can't remember. It's
What's one that stuck out to you?
honestly
That resonated, that got into like that. You felt.
Honestly, there's so many, Genah. I can't tell you like.
What did the big fella say? What did Eugene Berryman have to say on wise words? What did he have to say?
It'd be unfair for me to choose one from one of my previous guests. Okay, but if you're asking, what did Eugene say? Let me try to pull that up. I think his advice was one of his really good advice was people, to find something other than fighting.
Oh yeah, to fighters to have another.
Yes, to have a backup or to have something else that they're building on the side and not just put all the eggs in one basket. That was one of the really good advice that I think a lot of people talked about that as well. And
Right.
that's one good one.
What about the big fella, Big Jones, the other big fella? Junior Fart.
I think for Junior's one, he was talking about awareness of autism. That was a really good one as well. And maybe let's say Nyrene's one. She was talking about awareness, mental health. So like it's really interesting. All there's different people that I've had on. They have their own little
things that associated and important to them. Yeah.
So like for you, usually I mean, you are at a position now, as much as sometimes you don't want to let it get to your head, but you are at a position now where you have a big following. You have a lot of young girls look up to you. They as much as sometimes you don't want to be like it depends how you look at it. You might want to be the role model, you might not. I don't know, but sometimes some people don't want to be, but the reality is you are. And you have a lot of girls in New Zealand or that just around the world who look up to you and who are watching you. So like from all these things that you've experienced a lot. What would be what would be advice you'll give to these young girls?
Yeah, okay, that's a good one. To young girls, man.
Okay, maybe I don't want to say just young.
No, yeah, to people, no, exactly,
all ages.
yeah, people in general, but for sure, girls, especially, probably coming up in a man's world, not just talking about the fight game, but man, just know that we are the ones. We are the special ones. The world doesn't go around without us, and we got to flip and remember that, and we can do anything. We can do anything we set our mind to. Women are special, man. Like all the things that we endure and balance and how we handle things and how we can come back from things and just man, remember that. It's cliche or as corny as this might all sound, but it's a for real thing. Like remember the power that we possess. And don't let anyone stop you or take you away from any situation or anyone tell you or deter you from anything you're trying to go for. I look up to great people like Serena Williams, Alison Felix, like track stars, and a lot of other fighters as well. Gina Carano, who's like a mentor of mine actually, who have paved the way and shown showing not just women but people how to do it with such resilience and tenacity and grace and humility, and there's so many different facets to them. They're not just grouped in one box. They're not just one kind of type of person. They're tenacious, they're savage, they're hardworking, they're soft, they're they're sensitive. They're all these things. that make them make them who they are, make them great. And sometimes people try to tell you to be not too much of this and not too much of that, especially on women, and just be whoever you want to be, but do it well and do it with everything, and like you'll get there, and I'm still doing my thing and paving my path, and but these are things I've definitely learned along the way. Again, some might hear this and think that sounds corny or whatever, but it's just the truth of it, and it's speaking from experience and things I'm experiencing myself. We bounce back harder than anyone, and we have to do kind of double the time, if that makes sense, in a lot of things. So it's all worth it, and it's all possible.
Wow, that's actually really good advice, Genah. Before we wrap it up, do you have any shout outs for anybody who's done anything for you, or anybody you want to talk about? Any of the coaches or whoever?
Yeah, shout out to my coaches. They put up with me, and Doug, Huge, Mike, all our coaches, the team, of course. Shout out to the best team in the world, City Kickboxing. Shout out to Good Looking Crooks, my crew, my day one guys, my GLC family, Engage, my sponsors. Also Danica Jewelry, who actually just sent me, like, really, really nice of them, sent me my favorite jewel, which is a black pearl.
Ooh.
Yeah, and it's all the way from the black pearls from Tahiti, and they sent me this beautiful, like, just out of nowhere necklace and earrings. So I'll post a picture with those. But that was just really beautiful and really nice. So shout out to them. And let me think so I don't leave anyone out, because these things are important and I always mess it up. JBL as well. They've just hooked me up. I appreciate them. That was massive. That's it for now. Yep, and shout out to you, Ali. Thank you for having me. And
thank you for coming.
Yeah, this was supposed to happen.
Yes. Genah was supposed to be the first female on the show.
But
hey, we all have,
late than never.
We have things that we are busy people, and we try to organize things around, and previously it didn't work out, but we finally managed to get it done, and that's what's important. It doesn't matter, like, to me, it doesn't matter like the date or the order, whatever. Like, it's great to have you on, to come on, to share your story, your message, and I'm sure a lot of people can learn and benefit from that. The other one I wanted to touch on a little bit was aside from your fight on Friday evening, we also had our teammates fight as well on Friday and Saturday.
Shuriken.
So we had Kevin Jusey, who fought in the Shuriken Fight Series, and we also had Nyreen Crowley and Mr. Mike Blood Diamond, who fought on the King in the Ring events.
And Lawrence and Mizuho and Jason.
Yes, so sorry, for the Shuriken one, the full one was, so there'll be Mizuho, Lawrence, Jason, and then the main event was Kevin Jusey.
Yeah.
So all four of them for the Shuriken and two for the King in the Ring. What are your thoughts about those two events and what we witnessed?
Two great events, obviously staples on the New Zealand fight scene. Shuriken for MMA and King in the Ring, the number one kickboxing promotion and stage and platform for New Zealand. So I think they're both great. It was so dope. So though we all fought in different codes, respectively, we were all in camp together. So that was that always is a bonus when you have teammates alongside you that to do alongside your conditioning sessions. your sparrings, all that's involved in our weeks. And we really helped each other throughout. And I like shout out to those boys and Nye, of course, for all their help and encouragement and support throughout that time. Because people say we live the dream, and we really truly do, but it doesn't mean that it's easy, and like each, would all have our days and moments. Like, we're all pretty positive, upbeat, healthy people, and we all vibe off each other's energies. But sometimes, one of us might be having a bad morning. One of us is hungry, probably usually me. We're weight cutting, all of us, and going through the grind and managing different injuries. We're never 100%, we just really like vibed off each other. And if you could see one person's energy was off, one person would pick you up and just remind you and encourage you. So those things are really cool. Have a really cool thing about being in fight camp together with your team. And I love those guys, man. Like, we actually are all really close, and I'm so proud of them all to see them come through and get the results that they did over the weekend. I'm inspired by them, and it's genuine. And they're all great fighters and great people, mostly. So it was an awesome experience to share that. So it was funny. Like, my fight, we got moved forward when me and Doug called the promoter of my show. Yeah, so Doug fortunately was able to get my fight moved forward that night so that we could make the Shuriken boys, because they were literally fighting 5 minutes down the road. Yeah, and so I fought, got out of the ring, went straight to the back, got my belongings, took my boxing boots off, chucked on my slides, and we're in the car within 3 minutes. And we all rushed over to Shuriken down the road and see the boys do the job on Friday night. But yeah, shout out to them. They did incredible. And yeah,
they all did really well. And also talking about, we talk about Mizuho, our Japanese brother, who has been training out of City Kickboxing and for quite some time now. And this, I think I talked to him, and he said that he learned a lot from this fight, and this whole experience was so cool to him. But and also it's a little bit sad because he'll be leaving us and heading back to Japan soon as well. So yeah, it was unfortunately not the result that we wanted, but I think there's a lot of positives and a lot of things to gain from that event.
Yeah. He I think talking to him straight after his fight, he already picked up straight away a lot of easy fixes going forward for him into his next fight, and just to improve upon and training in his style. And that's really positive. And that kid is really talented and has a great style, and he hasn't even opened up fully to that yet. So that's an inspiring thing for him. And he's such not a bad vibe about that boy. I really think the world of him and adore him, and he's such great energy to everyone every single day. He's the same guy, and he doesn't change, and he always comes up and hugs and says hi to every single person as he walks through the door. So I hope he can get back.
It's part of the it's very respectful person. It's part of the Japanese culture as well. They're very respectful people.
Yeah, very respectful culture. I love the Japanese people. That's another place I went to as well. Japan. It's my favorite Asian country for the people and the culture that they have there. We'll miss Mizuho when he goes.
Definitely.
And I hope
hopefully he gets to come back.
Find a way back soon. That'll be cool.
Yeah. And what was your thoughts on Kevin's fight for the main event?
Yeah, I mean, so proud of Kev. He helps me out a lot too, and a great teammate and friend. And he had a long layoff, 15 months as well. And I've been in his position. I'm home now, but I have been that foreigner, sacrificing and away from my family and my comforts and my friends and all things familiar to me, and you're just there with one purpose and one dream and one grind, and it can get monotonous and tedious and lonely and all the things. You're sacrificing all that to be there for this dream. So I know he was so hungry for this fight, and been
Yeah, he was getting quite frustrated as well with the,
Yeah.
that long layoff.
yeah, and that's what we all have to go through at some point, unfortunately. That is part of the process. But he should be really proud of himself. I know he'll want to be busy and stay active and look to get another fight as soon as possible, as soon as he can get matched. I think they're in the pipelines for that. So, man, Kev's career and future is so bright in the sport, and I can't wait to see what he does. Amazing grappler and base and judo.
Isn't he the judo master here?
Yeah. Sensei Juicy. No, and so he gives a lot of the boys trouble, any given day, and he's here to improve his stand up and his overall game, of course. But I know he's working hard on that with Huge and other coaches and the team here, on just being well-rounded and becoming a better fighter like we all are. But yeah, Kev, he's the man. He'll be back in there soon.
Also touch a little bit about Nyrene's post-fight speech or talk that she gave.
I didn't see it. I missed it because it cut out. Yeah.
But she was talking about the there was a period where it was kind of off. I managed to watch that one. She was talking about the adversities that she actually went through leading up to her fight, and it was really interesting. She said that someone in her circle, I hope I don't get this wrong, but someone in her circle, or I don't know who exactly it was, took their life away, and she had to deal with that, leading up to her fight as well, and how she pushed through. And she was talking about awareness for mental health again, using her platform to talk about that. That's so cool.
Yeah.
To try to push people to be a bit more aware of all this. And
she speaks so well on that stuff, and I know that's something that she is truly passionate and advocating for, and it's amazing, that she is being vocal and finding her voice to bring awareness to that, to her own pool of people that look up and follow her. But I do know, again, missed the speech because it cut out on television, but she came to me right before we were about to condition. She had gotten a message that her manager had taken his life the night before. She just had found out, and she was just didn't know how to handle it, and in shock because that was like her boss. And that was tough, man. And then I remember, I think that week they had the service that Sunday. So amidst being in camp and all the running around and up and downs and emotions that come from that alone, for that to happen was really sad and unfortunate. And I know she did have to deal with that and navigate her way through that, and just try to stay as locked in as possible, throughout that time, with her fight only being a week after. So she did amazing, and I'm really proud of her.
Definitely. And she put on, both her and her opponent put on a really good fight as well. And it was an amazing fight. I think it's great. What they're doing is they're trying to show the level of female fighting, and they pushing for more female fights on these big events. And
totally it needs to happen.
At the end of the day, the decision came to a draw, But at the end of the day, I think they're both winners, you know, and they're trying to achieve things. And
Yeah,
moving forward, that's
100%.
really cool. Anyway,
Yeah.
Genah, I shall not take up any more of your time. Thank you very much for coming on the show today. We want to wish you all the best for your fights on the PFL season.
Thank you.
You know, I wish you nothing but success and to see you do well on the world stage and also in your future in the MMA, in your MMA career. Anyway, Genah, thank you very much.
Appreciate it, brother. Thank you for having me.
No worries.
Thank
Cheers,
you.
guys. If you stayed this far, thank you very much for watching. And yeah, we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you for watching this episode. Don't forget to subscribe, like, and share. I'll see you on the next one.